Hello and welcome. In front of me are some Shimano XT M730 pedals. They were released in the late 80s and lasted until the early 90s. Shimano would then market SPD and clipless pedals towards mountain bikers. In those days, there was not a big choice for flat pedals. It was mainly Suntour, possibly Wolgo, Odyssey, and a lot of the pedals were designed for BMXing and not necessarily mountain biking. So Shimano would then stop making flat pedals up until very recently, in fact, with the Shimano Saint and a new XT pedal, which I also have. So this is actually going to be part of my Sun restoration project, but it's also going to be a video to show you how to dismantle these, and I'm going to be restoring them. Notably here, which I'll zoom in to show you, the cage is completely scratched everywhere. I want to put some new paint. I also want to redo the logo here. I'm going to try and make it gold. It's going to be quite difficult because there's so many scratches that when I'm going to try and fill up the letters with paint, it's going to be difficult to decipher between the two. So let's get started. So first thing, we're going to start on the cages. We're going to start filing these down. I might have to get a nail and re-scratch in the letters where possible. I have been filing it down for the last hour in all the different corners. I also used a pin to try and redraw some of the letters, as some of them have completely been scratched off, so hopefully that's going to work. You can just about see the XT here. So it's very cloudy today, but it's going to be a good day to let this stuff dry, at least the first coat. So I went to get a softer cap for the job. So nice thin layers here. It looks like it's going to be quite heavy. Okay, that's not a good time to do this. For the first nut, it's a number 8mm socket that you're going to require to undo it. I'm going to use a pedal wrench to hold it down when I turn. Normally I should be able to do this by... Okay, got the first one. The next one you're going to need is a number 12. What's really nice about these older cones is that you can use just a normal socket, because on the M735 you can't do that. There you go. Put the parts onto the side here. Be careful when taking this out to not lose the bearings. Spindle. This is really handy to have, this ruler, because you can instantly just measure the ball bearings, and this one is a 1/8. Right, so I'm going to clean everything up, bearings back together. I've decided to give the bolts a file down and clean, and I'm going to paint them gold. Alright, I'm going to give them a gold spray with some metallic lacquer. When removing the ball bearings, I use a little magnet, keeps them all together. For the ones at the back, I just get a bigger magnet, and normally if you like so, it will fall out. So while the pedals are sitting in the soapy water, I decided to start working on the gold logo that I wanted to do, and it looks like it's working. I've now gone on to using a Posca, and you can see now after wiping the paint off with cotton buds and some water, we're starting to see the letters again. So again, very limited, because obviously there's scratches everywhere around the lettering. Right, well that's the best I can do for these. At least, you know, from afar it looks okay. Now I'm going to move on to putting the 2K transparent coating. You need to apply very thin layers from my experience anyway. Gonna let that dry off. Right, so the cages are drying outside again. I'm going to proceed on the lubrication of the spindles and bearings. i.e. grease. I'm going to use the typical marine grease that really needs some tweezers. Makes it a lot easier to put the small bearings into the back here. I feel like you can be fairly generous on the grease on these. This is probably the most annoying part of the task, getting these all into place. So 1, 2. So we've got 3 so far. Push that one in place. That should be all good for that. Okay, so the procedure is pretty simple. You're going to now put the spindle back into place. Cool. So there you go. So I'm going to put the bearings now on this side. So 1, 4. Okay, so I got all my bearings in. You can probably just see them about there. We're going to put a little bit more grease on the top. Use the number 12 to turn it back on. Put the last one on here, the number 8, and tighten. I'm going to tighten this up. Number 8 sockets. For the last part, usually you would use a Shimano tool to lock these in place. I don't have that, and in any case the newer versions are not compatible with the older pedals from what I can see, because this is a combination of 2 sockets, number 12 and number 8 for the last one. What I do, and this is, you can only really do this on these ones, is that you can put a flat head right here. That's what I do anyway, and then I tighten up the socket, keeping it in place, and it seems to work. I'm going to now move on to the next one. This one's done, there's no play, it looks like it's spinning like I'd like. I'm going to put just a little bit of thread locker on this, put the cap on. So this morning I touched the cages and they appear to be dry, at least to the touch anyway, so I bolted them back onto the body. I can't say that I'm super impressed with the results. Maybe the bolts, mainly the bolts. I don't really feel the color's way too expressive, and it doesn't match the color of the logo. I would have liked to have polished them possibly as well. So you can actually see here the gold's much stronger than the gold on the logo. I might just clean the bolts and put them back to how they were. So anyway, thank you for listening. Peace out.